Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to join you, and I'm delighted to see so many people here. I was slightly struck by the fact that if we'd all believed the weather forecast, we probably wouldn't be. But I'm sure you all have your own interpretations of that. But this conference has a perspective. And that perspective goes back 90 years since the conference first started, so it's 1936. Well, I suspect the sentiment of the conference has probably endured, and they may have been asking very similar questions 90 years ago that we're asking today, but with slightly different influences and a completely different set of data figures to work from. But would they have recognized the theme? Probably. Growing resilience? Would they have interpreted it slightly differently, or would they have all said, well, that's what we do. We are all resilient because we're in agriculture. And they may be still right on that basis. But are we defining it slightly differently now? Does that resilience, and I hope you're going to come up with an answer to this, is it about who or what resilience? And the questions you ask and the way you responded to speakers will help to tease that one out. Is it how you define resilience? And after all, the challenges being felt by farming and the wider rural community are pretty intense at the moment, and it is an entirely fitting theme to have just now. Keeping pace with the usual challenges is bad enough. The weather is one of them, of course, markets, etc. Plus, I think I would interpret it as moving goalposts. And I think the goalposts are probably moving further and faster than they've probably ever done before. So nearly every time you look at your internet or a piece of printed words, there's a change. I blame information technology for being able to change things so quickly. People used to have to wait before it was worth coming up with a new edition of anything. And that perhaps people's attitudes towards resilience depends on the way you've been doing things, your own local knowledge, your own experience, the opportunities that you have in business around you, your geography and the weather that you all have learnt to deal with. Or maybe you've just moved somewhere where you have to learn new forms of resilience. I hope that you all find that coming to this conference helps with some of that and to answer some of those questions. Or maybe, as our last session rather indicated, to go back and look with a slightly different view on the way that you do things, and could you do them slightly differently and therefore better. This year's Oxford Farming Conference annual report is entitled UK Farming Grasping the Opportunities. And I'm sure that one of those opportunities is being able to come here. Now, this particular report was authored by Dr. Louise Manning and supported by a very generous donation from the Frank Parkinson Agricultural Trust. And that included reflections on 25 conversations that Dr. Manning had with leaders and disruptors in the UK farming sector. Now, that in itself is no mean achievement to cover that range of opinions and experiences. But it does make the point that change is always happening, and the UK farming sector has managed to reinvent itself many times before, and it can and must do so again. And that reflects nearly every year's experience. Its ability to adapt and to innovate. And my historical perspective, which is probably a bit longer than most of yours here, it's getting even worse. I would make an observation that at many of the agricultural shows, and particularly the Royal Society shows, some of the most innovative technology improvements were done by farmers, coming up with solutions to the way they did business and the way they responded to technology, and made very good use of it. It's a really good place to evaluate the benefits of technology in its realest forms. And this year too, I hope you would agree that the speakers come from a really wide range of backgrounds and perspectives. And that is one of those things that this conference really does make a huge impact for those who come. That range of attitudes, ideas, opinions. And their insights are important for all of us to listen to. And listen to is critical in this instance, because as several people have made the point, no two farming enterprises, agricultural experiences are going to be quite the same. But the listening to others and their experiences is vital. And there will be, I rather hope, because it's happened in the past, a few light bulb moments from this involvement, from this cross-pollination of ideas and experiences. I would own up to one or two, that those light bulb moments really do happen here. And of course that is part of the role of the Oxford Farming Conference, to produce those light bulb moments. It's valued for providing that cross of attitudes and influence, but it's particularly welcome kickstart to the year. I'm always grateful to get here because it proves I've done another year. And so the conference's mission to include, to challenge and to inspire is really apparent when you understand who is here, the range of people who come to this conference. And you reflect on what has been said, and I hope when you go home to be able to discuss it, to see it has a relevance, some of it has a relevance to you, not all of it. But I suspect that debate, those issues would still have been recognised in 1936. And that would have been a key to the reason that it survived so well. We have, fortunately, as a charity, a lot of partners who make it possible to stage this event and to allow this cross-section, to allow more people to come. And their support has been able to bring more people to our conference, from our Inspire individuals, scholars, the Breaking Barriers and the bursary delegates. Now that's supporting about 70 delegates to join this event who wouldn't have been able to do before, who wouldn't have been able to be part of this conversation, and indeed probably get a better concept of the information that's available than they would have done if they'd had to spend time working that out on the internet. I just mentioned that impossibly. Many of them are young and emerging leaders who represent the future of UK's farming sector. And I'm really delighted that they feel they want to be here and they want to share this with you and the speakers. And it's the second year of the Inspiring Innovators programme. There are 4 young people who come to pitch their exciting business ideas and their innovations here at the Oxford Farming Conference. But last year, 6 inspiring innovators have gone on to extend the opportunities and reach of their businesses as a direct result of being involved here. And I have no doubt that part of that was the discussions and the questions they were asked by people who were here. So the theme of growing resilience is critical for this sector. Perhaps it always has been, but how you look at it needs help in a number of different ways. And the financial and climatic challenges are always there to throw those curved balls at farmers and growers. And the resilience and the management of risk and adapting mindsets are key to managing these threats. Understanding risk is something that, if we're not careful, we get out of practice of. And we need to be able to discern what those risks are and how to take measures to reduce them. I say reduce because I don't suspect with farming and agriculture you can never really remove them altogether. Some aspects, but not many. Better ways to run enterprises and businesses. But there are also novel ways to operate their businesses. And this, I hope, again, is a conference that allows you to think of the way that that might affect your businesses and the appropriate use of land. That's the broad perspective, how you define agriculture and farming, but the appropriate use of land and how you can make the appropriate use of it, but still be very much a business-like proposition. You don't finish today. You've got tomorrow's programme, and that looks every bit as good as today, so I hope you're going to be ready and eager to do that. The farmers you'll hear from, again, span a wide range of sectors and approaches and experience. And all of them, I hope, will make you all stop and think and ask more questions, because I do think that is an important part of what this conference does. You are also, of course, having your Oxford Union debate this evening. And that, I hope you will all go, although this House believes that in the next 90 years farming will become a one-day-a-week job. You could almost answer that more simply, but I hope that will prove to be interesting. And I'm way too old to join in that debate. Can I make a suggestion for a future debate? Because this has been one of the issues that keeps striking me during the year, that there is no good idea that cannot be defeated by scale. So I just leave that with you as a potential debate subject. But as your Honorary President, can I take this opportunity, certainly on my behalf, but particularly of our directors, to thank you all for your support of this historic event, as coming here does, but also listening in and watching what's going on. It is a historic event, and it's proved over 90 years that it can remain utterly relevant to all those engaged in agriculture in so many different ways. And the Oxford Farming Conference couldn't operate without all of your support and continued interest. There would be no point. And I hope that you will also, by asking those questions, make the most of your time here. That's not just here, but amongst each other during the course of these 3 days. It is probably one of the best networking occasions in the agricultural sector, and that it gives time for you to have that networking ability, and that range of experience allows you to do. I hope you would agree that it's a great start to the year to be able to come here, share your own experiences, your own concerns. You will get a lot of opinions and help in a range of different ways. But it is really important that you have the opportunity to share your own experiences with others, because I think that, in the end, will create the best solutions for each and every one of you. But as somebody said in the early part, that it's without getting together and having these discussions, you can be so isolated, and it's difficult to make sense of the amount of information that is out there without this ability to be able to ask each other questions of how that relates, how it relates to you. Historical perspective, 90 years ago, some of that doesn't change. That is where you are, your traditions, the type of farming you did, your experience of land, of even of taste, of weather. All of that makes a difference to what they did then and what they can do now. And we look to the future, as always, with interest. I'm not sure that it's a straight line progress. I'm reminded, you may have heard me say this before, I'm reminded of the Callanish stones in Lewis that were put up 6,000 years ago. And when they eventually dug down to the base of these stones, which had a great build-up of peat and other things, they discovered there were Mediterranean plants when they were put up. That makes the beaches on the Outer Isles very attractive. I wonder what people thought of that and what they would think of what they experience now on the Outer Isles. We don't have that degree of perspective. We've only got 90 years. I think that will do. Thank you so much for your participation.